What's going on, guys? So I am still out here at eTrailer in Wentzville, Missouri. This is a really cool location, and I am going to be showing you something that's very unique. This is something that is not unique in the sense that you haven't seen a cooler on the channel before, but there's a unique feature about this specific one I think you'll like. Hang tight, I'll be right back. Okay, so we've repositioned this Truma Cooler, and you know, I've done videos on these before, not on the Truma specifically, but Everchill as well as some other brands. There are some unique features that some of those have that this one doesn't have, such as an onboard battery. This one does not. This is required that you plug it in if you're going to use it. But there's one really great feature about this that the folks here at eTrailer actually pointed out to me. You know, I was in their installation bay a little while ago, and I was talking to a couple of the folks that work in there, and I asked them, what is a unique product that you guys have? You guys have a huge inventory of stuff, and you guys have to come across unique stuff occasionally. And they said, have you checked out the differentiator between the Truma Cooler versus some of the other ones that are on the market? And I said, well, what's that differentiation? And he showed me this. So when you pop this open, like a lot of coolers that are on the market, you have two different zones, right? You can have one set for a freezer, refrigerator, or refrigerator, freezer. You have the ability to kind of split these up as needed. But the unique feature this one has that I haven't seen before is the ability for you to pull out this divider right here. See if I can get this thing out. It's a pretty tight fit. So you can pull out the divider right here, and you can have one large single zone versus the two zones. So that actually is a pretty important feature to have, because it now opens up pretty much the entire inside of this cooler for whatever you want to use it for. Now there's some other features about this cooler that actually stand out and I really like. For instance, some of the other coolers that I've reviewed, the hinging mechanism on them is all plastic. So if you overextend the actual flap on top, you can risk actually damaging the hinge. On these, you can see that it's all steel. So it's just been designed to be a bit more robust. And what I've discovered about Truma is they're definitely kind of moved up to more of that premium line of products. So if you see something with the Truma brand on it, it's very likely going to be probably a little bit more expensive, but you're going to see very innovative things like that. Steel hinges, dividers that can be removed, larger interior. Now this specific cooler is a 72 quart cooler, or 69 liters, or I think about 18 gallons. And the nice thing is they make it in several different sizes, but they actually have this one in a larger variation, a 100 quart cooler version of this if you want one that's larger for more capacity. The one big downside to a product like this is that it's relatively heavy. So just like a home refrigerator, you're going to have a lot of the same components in this, because it has the capability of not just cooling but also freezing. So this specific setup is about 70 pounds. It's a little shy of 70 pounds. So it's certainly not a lightweight cooler, and it's going to be heavier than even some of your, you know, those really thick high-end coolers that you might typically have. The benefit here, though, is that it's not so much a cooler as it is a refrigerator slash freezer. So what you would typically compare something like this to is not really a fair comparison, because when you're comparing this to like a Yeti or a Bulldog cooler, those coolers are just that. You have to put ice inside of them to keep whatever you want nice and cold. Whereas when you look at a product like this, or you look at some of the other products that actually have the refrigeration freezer capability built into them, you are looking at an actual refrigerator freezer versus a cooler, which means you're not going to have to load this thing full of ice. Or if you keep ice in here, it will never melt if you have it turned on, because this is going to freeze it and keep it cold just like a freezer or a refrigerator would. And those are some of the big perks behind something like this. The only thing I would love to see built into this is some wheels, the ability for you to roll it around a little bit easier, because that's going to be the single biggest challenge, I think, for most folks, is moving this around. But what I've seen lately is on a lot of your higher overlanding style RVs, this is actually the cooler that they've been including. Whether it's the new Pause series, whether it's some of your super high-end, you know, overland series that you see out there, Truma tends to be the brand that everyone goes to, which generally indicates they're looking for something a little bit higher end, a little bit more robust, and that's built a little better. But really nice. The interior walls are certainly really thick. And they carry this in several different sizes as well. They have a 46 quart, a 64 quart, as well as this being a 72 quart, and then a 100 quart option if you're looking for one that might fit a specific type of RV application or trailer application. And from a power consumption perspective, if you're just trying to figure out what this is going to pull off of your system, it actually draws 1/8 of an amp per hour. Okay, so some other really cool features about this is, again, you have the 2 compartments that you can turn into 1 compartment. This specific cooler, the coldest setting is -8 degrees Fahrenheit. So that is pretty cool in terms of if you want to use this as a freezer. I even imagine some folks might even have 2 of these. One that they could use as a dedicated refrigerator. It's deep enough to hold a ½ gallon of milk or 2-liter bottle upright, which is also really nice. You could easily fit that in here. That's not a problem at all. And you can use either 12 volt or 110 volt if you want to run this off of like a wall outlet or inside of a vehicle, which is really nice. You also have access to a Bluetooth app that you can control this and kind of monitor how it's working. That's not entirely new. A lot of the other manufacturers are doing something similar. I think the big thing about this specific product is that it's made by Truma. It's larger than most of them that are on the market, significantly larger. And the other aspect of it is the fact that everything seems to be built a little nicer. You know, some better components. Certainly some areas that they definitely didn't cut corners that sometimes you see in other units. And then finally, something you may like is that this product's actually manufactured in Germany. So Truma is manufactured right outside of Munich, Germany. And, you know, I think regardless of what you think about, you know, products that are made overseas, most people would agree that German-made products tend to be pretty well manufactured products. So a lot of really cool features with this one that are kind of similar, but again, they just did a little differently. They actually give you your power connections on both sides. So if you're going to be doing some type of a permanent install, or if you're closer to a plug on one side versus the other, this is convenient to have plugs on both sides. You have a USB port right here, so if you have this plugged in, you can plug a charger into this and actually use this as a means of charging a phone. You have your dual zones right here. You also have the ability to go into like a quick cool setting as well, and you can set your temperatures for both zones independently. Bottle opener built in on the side. They may actually have one on both sides. Yeah, they have a bottle opener on both sides. Nice integrated spring-loaded handles. Again, there's your power connection on the opposite side. Nice foam gasket. Pressed very well against the end. They actually glued it together right here, so you don't have gaps right here like you see with a lot of products where there's a gap that can form right here between where the seals are. They actually glue all their gaps together, which is really nice. And if you want to remove the lid, you simply pull back right here and it unclips, and then you can switch sides. So I could flip this around and connect it right here, and then it can close the opposite way, which is also very nice. Very cool product though. This is definitely on the higher end side of mobile refrigerators, and it's not really a cooler. I mean, it's definitely one of those things that you have to kind of break yourself of the habit of calling this what you would traditionally categorize this as, because it's not a cooler. It's a refrigerator freezer. And when you compare this to coolers like a $600 Yeti, you're not really doing it justice, because a cooler doesn't have the cooling capability built into it. You have to throw the ice, you have to do all that, whereas this is going to give you that true like off-grid capability to connect solar to it, to connect it into your RV, and use this as a dedicated compact refrigerator freezer. Anyways, guys, I'll put a link to this in the description of the video. It was really cool, no pun intended, to see the fact that they have this kind of built in. You know, having a divider that's removable right here is a pretty big differentiation between it and other products that are similar to it on the market. Certainly something that gives it a bit more of a unique characteristic for folks who are looking for a portable refrigerator. Just move that basket out of the way. There you go. And we'll throw that basket on top. And then this actually goes right here to block this side and cover it up if you want to open the whole thing up at once. So this cord was underneath the divider, and that's why it wasn't able to close down on here completely. But yeah, that's how it looks. Very, very cool product from Truma. Anyways, guys, I sure hope you've enjoyed this video. We'll throw a link in the description of this video if this is something you may be interested in. Very, very cool. And again, that divider is actually a pretty dang cool feature. Guys, we'll talk to you again very soon.